Okay, I think that worked. Did it work? Yeah. Okay, so first of all, welcome everybody to this week's English training. We do these every week at 7:30 Jakarta time. And we go through a series of trainings each week to help empower you to learn the 7 skills that it takes to be a professional in network marketing and really just empower you inside of growing your business. So like we said last week, we did a training on how to compose a story, right? What are the components of a powerful story, and how to make your own story. And then this week, we're going to talk more about the actual process of storytelling. How do you be an effective storyteller? I personally believe that in the world that we live in today, where everybody is communicating on social media, and basically, we're getting our news from social media, we're doing most of our communications over Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of these different platforms. So this is where communication is happening, right? And really the dominant form of communication is storytelling, right? It's how you tell your story about what's going on. You can storytell with pictures, you can storytell with with powerful images, things like that, right? There's a lot of different ways to tell your story. But it's very important that you learn the components of what makes up a powerful story. Because if you can be a master storyteller, right, you can transfer emotion. You can really communicate a vision. Like, you can really get people excited about what it is that you're doing, right? And with your USANA business, you have to be able to really powerfully tell your story about, you have to be able to powerfully tell Dr. Myron Wentz's story. You have to be very powerfully be able to tell people about, when you first started in USANA, what made you passionate about getting started. You have to tell your story about, your journey so far. And most importantly, you have to be able to tell your story about the future, right? What are you excited about moving forward? Because that's actually what people get excited by, is a vision for the future. Okay, so this is Rudyard Kipling. Okay, he said that if history were taught in the form of stories, it would never be forgotten. And the reason why he says that is because we think in stories, right? The reason why movies are so powerful is because they're stories. We relate to stories. We relate to other people's stories. I can promise you that you guys remember the childhood stories that you were told when you were just a child, right? And there's a good chance that these things had lasting impressions on your life. If you look at the things that have had the most impact on your story throughout your life, I think you'll find that most of them are stories, whether they're books or they're movies, or, they're maybe your grandfather or your grandmother, told you stories about your family or whatever. The oral tradition that goes all the way back to the Greeks was all about storytelling. And this is really the way that we think and the way that we relate to things. So if you think about even the people that motivate you the most in your life right now, whether it's on YouTube or, whoever it is that you really look up to, I promise you, part of it is because of the way that they communicate about what they're up to, right? They very, very powerfully tell stories, and that's what keeps us engaged. So history in the form of textbooks is not very compelling, right? Because it's just information and it's just facts. Okay, so that's something to remember when you're telling your story and when you're sharing about USANA, is facts just tell things, right? Stories are the things that really sell things. Okay, this is what really gets people engaged and excited, is not about all the facts and figures, right? USANA has actually amazing features. Okay, in terms of, pharmaceutical grade and, FDA approved, all of those facts about USANA are really impressive. Okay, but it's really going to be the stories that is what gets people excited about working together with you, about using the products like that. So let me tell you a story about my experience in USANA. Okay, so I've been with the company now for over 6 years. And the reason why, at this last convention, there was a woman named Kendra Hall, and she did a presentation on telling stories that stick. So some of this is going to come from her. But when she was doing her presentation on how to tell stories, what happened during her presentation, it was not about the information that she was sharing. She shared a lot of stuff about the way that the brain works and how it works with stories and like that, which was fascinating. But the thing that was so powerful for me was, while she was telling her story, my imagination started going like crazy. And it took me all the way back to my first convention, when I'll never forget this. There was, whatever, 15,000 people there or whatever. And we had moved from the big auditorium where 15,000 people were all in one stadium listening to the USANA like kickoff celebration thing. And we moved into a smaller breakout session. And that was the first time that I had really been exposed to a man named Jordan Kemper, who would go on to be, really not someone that I knew personally, but a virtual, really a mentor for me. And I remember in the audience, and to this day, I cannot remember what his presentation was on, what the topic was. What I remember was how excited he was and how engaging he was, and like who he was being during his talk. But the thing that I remember the most is that's the moment at which I decided that this is going to be a lifetime journey for me. Like, Jordan was presenting in a way where I could see myself on the stage, like doing that. And that was like one of those pin drop moments for me, where it was like, literally, I decided this is it. Like, I'm going to be a USANA associate for life. And I'll never forget that. And if I think back on my USANA journey, it's all of the main things that stick out are when we were at convention. I think our second convention, where me, Deep, and Simmer, we went silver director, and there was a young man on the stage who was deaf and mute, and he was a silver director. And he was there with his girlfriend, and she was speaking, and he was doing the sign language or whatever. And I'll never forget how powerful that was. That we have all these wait, we weren't silver yet. It must have been the convention 4. So we were thinking to ourselves, like, this guy is deaf and mute, and there's no excuses. He's a silver director. Like, you know what is holding me back besides some story, and that was really powerful. And I remember in Asia Pacific, where there was a woman who was a Ruby director, who had nothing in her life. She was like, she had lost everything. She had lost her husband. She had lost her house in some sort of disaster, and she had nothing in her life. And she found USANA. She started working, and then obviously she worked hard. She told her whole story. And then the thing at the end that really was such a powerful thing is, she brought all of her, I can't remember what it was, 4 or 5 kids onto the stage. And all of her kids were in the business with her, running the business. They were entrepreneurs, and she was really sharing her story of going from like nothing and creating this really magical life. And she had her kids there with her, and that was such a powerful moment. And I have a friend named Gio, he was a security guard in the Philippines. And one day or not one day, at the convention one time, he told his story about also similar. He was a security guard. He had no future, no college education, no hopes really. And he got introduced to USANA one day, and he went home and he told his girlfriend, and she said no. Or he told his wife, and she said, no, we're not going to do that. And he did it anyway. He didn't have the money to start. He just sold one Sell Essentials, or they were essentials at that time, one essentials at a time. And he built his business. And he shared about his life dealing with alcoholism, and dealing with, going through a really painful time in his life. And now he's whatever, a 3 or 4 star diamond director, and one of the top income earners in all of Asia Pacific. And he started off as a security guard. So these are the things that stick out to me over the last 6 years. Are not even, they're the stories that I heard other people tell about what they've been through in their life, and how the USANA has helped them go from where they were to where they are at the moment. And then how empowered and excited they are about being able to carry on that legacy and help other people go through the same story. So that's how I know that stories are really powerful, because when Kendra was sharing her presentation, my whole USANA like journey was literally like flashing before my eyes. And that's when I knew, man, she's so right. These stories are where we live in these powerful stories. So if you look at the 4 key components of telling a powerful story, right? You want to make sure that you start in the middle. Okay, so it's not about like starting at the beginning and then telling the whole story, right? A really powerful story starts right in the middle, right? So there I am. It's convention. I'm surrounded by 12,000 people. The energy in the room is electric, right? You start right in the middle, and then you create a powerful emotion, right? So you have to get connected to that experience yourself, so that you are authentically connected to that emotion, so that when you're sharing it, right, it's just a natural expression of your emotion, because the emotion is actually what will literally transfer to another person, right? If you're excited, if you're emotional, if you're crying, if you're sad, if you're touched, moved, and inspired by your story, that is literally going to be the thing that gets other people in that same emotional state, right? We have something that are called mirror neurons, which means there are certain neurons in our brain that literally mirror what's going on with other people. So if you have any empathy at all, then when other people around you are experiencing something, you experience something with them. And especially if you've had a similar experience in your life, you will experience your life story in their story. That's the real power. When someone else hears your story, but hears their story in your story. This is how you can powerfully communicate. And then you want to make sure you're telling the story in the present tense, right? So it's not something that happened or something that's going to happen. It's like, it's here. I'm there. I am. I'm right here. I'm in the experience. And then you want to make sure that you're visual and that you're vivid, right? So if people can sort of close their eyes and be in the experience with you, right? So they're literally like right there with you, experiencing the event itself. It's very, very powerful. So visualization is something that is very, very powerful, right? We think, as human beings, we think in images. So if you think about the idea of imagination, right? Imagination is something through which you can create your future. Your brain your mind, I should say, is an extremely powerful tool. You have the power to create anything that you think and then give emotion to. You can create that thing. So if you think about that, and when you're telling a story, the most powerful thing that you can do is get someone to imagine what it is that the images that you're sharing, and then also give emotion to it. And you can actually get people to visualize what their future would be like, right? If they follow you in this journey and they come on board and they work with you like that, right? Because everybody's got a story of their own life and everybody's dealing with something, right? Right now, what's going on in the world right now is literally unprecedented. People, from a health standpoint, the COVID virus is, it's been something that's very, it's killed, it's killed a lot of people, and people are scared about their health. People are losing jobs. In America, it's like 30 million people out of work because of the coronavirus, right? So people are dealing with stuff right now. And so what they're looking for really is someone to come along and paint the picture of a future that's different, right? This is where the power of stories come in, right? You get people to visualize something that's not yet present but could be present, like that. So you want to really take that on and get people to visualize what would the future be like, regardless of what's going on. If you had financial freedom, if you had the ability to be location independent, if you had the ability to grow a business online so that you didn't have to be dependent on a job again, where you can get let go, or something can happen and you can lose that. Like, what if you were an entrepreneur without spending a whole lot of money to get started, but you had the same amount of freedom, right? Like, you get people to visualize what that would be like. And then the authentic emotion part is where the real power comes in, because it literally creates a shared experience. Like, so much of the time we live our lives in our head and we live separately, right? We think of ourselves as separate entities. People have their thing, they have their thing, I have my thing. This is how we think about ourselves, as independent sort of egos, right? Separate from others. But really, really powerful stories, what they do is they actually dissolve those boundaries between people. And if you tell a really powerful story, or if you're listening to a really powerful story, a lot of times you'll forget about yourself for a short period of time, and you will literally start identifying with that other person. For some of you on the call, we've taken a course called the Landmark Forum, which is a 3-day course. It's all day, 3 days in a row. And the whole course is literally people coming up to the microphone, and you learn some distinctions over the weekend, and they give you some powerful tools to self-reflect and to communicate with people in your life. But people share about what's going on in their life. And what happens is, you're like, literally, like, people will be telling a story, and you will find yourself in the other person's story. And that's what we mean by a shared experience, is when your experience of life literally touches another person's experience, and you get touched, moved, and inspired by what they're dealing with, or what they've overcome, because maybe they're dealing with something that you're also dealing with, and it makes you feel like you're not alone, right? Makes you feel valid in your experience. Or maybe they've dealt with something that you're currently dealing with, and they've overcome that, and they're sharing how they did, and it creates hope, right? This kind of shared emotion is very powerful, because if you're going to create a community and you're going to work with people, then this is how you create that kind of connection that makes a difference. And when you're a coach and you're working with somebody in this business, you can have all the skills and know all the knowledge and all that stuff, but the thing that makes a difference more than anything else is if the people that you're working with feel like they know you and that you know them. You share your experiences of the day, of the bad days that you had and what you did about it, right? Because sometimes, people think, oh, my upline is like amazing and blah 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 blah, and they forget they're just people that have gone through the same stuff that they've also gone through. So the most powerful thing that you can do as a coach is let your person know, it's okay, I've been there, I know how you feel, I felt the exact same way. And what I found out through my experience is, whatever. That's how you can powerfully communicate. So the power of stories is really in the connection between our heart and our brain, right? Or our heart and our minds, I should say. So if you think about your heart, this is where we sort of say, that's where our emotion lives, right? When we talk about the idea of being, tugging on someone's heartstrings means you move them powerfully in their body. And a lot of times, if you watch a powerful video or you're hearing someone's experience, you'll literally have a bodily sensation, right? You'll have a bodily experience where there's something maybe that you can't explain, but you're having a particular emotional state that really communicates something to you. And it brings it brings the connection between our hearts and our minds very powerfully. Because if we get stuck up here intellectualizing things and it doesn't become emotional, then we can't really connect with anyone else's experience, which means we can't communicate effectively. So the stories are really the thing that bring our heart and our minds together. Because if we're just in our hearts and we're just all emotional all over the place, right? But we don't have the directionality that the mind brings, then you can't really manifest anything, right? So it's a very, very powerful connection that happens between your heart and your mind. And when they become one is when your stories have the power to be able to create that connection. So this is really the reality is, we all have a story to tell. So sometimes the story that we tell is that we don't have a story to tell, right? Or we're not important, or what we have to share is not important, or, some version of that. And it's just not true. There are people out there all over the world, people that right now that are looking for someone to connect with, someone to share with. And it's your story that could make a difference for them. And so, we all have stories to tell in terms of what we've gone through in our own life, and the things that we've been able to, the mentors that we have, and the things that we've used to be able to overcome some of the obstacles that we've overcome. And it's just really powerful to be able to get connected to the fact that you do have a story, right? And that your story matters. So it's important not to tell yourself the story that you don't have a story. I just want to check in we have some messages in the chat here. I don't know how to get to them. Yeah, Simmer said, we can never know when our story can touch someone and make the biggest difference in their life. Exactly. And your story matters, right? Exactly what Simmer just said. You never know when your story is the one that people are waiting to hear. I can't tell you how many times we've been on discovery calls talking to participants or whatever. And, and Deep has told her story about, when she was about to lose her eyes or her eye based on having all this inflammation in the eyes, and, feeling like maybe this was going to be like this forever, and having to take steroids. And, thank God we got introduced to USANA, and she got different strategies. And, she used the products, and she didn't have to use the steroids anymore. And, she didn't lose her eyes. And, it was a very scary time from the story that the doctor was telling her. And, then she was able to create a different reality for herself, right? Very powerful experience. A lot of times, I remember when one of our associates, Mia, first came into the business, she tried to tell a story to me that she wasn't, she was shy, she was introverted, she was a single mom, You know, she wasn't an entrepreneur. She wasn't able to do it. All of that, right? And now that same story that she had about herself then is the story that empowers so many other women that we talk to who are maybe single mothers who also feel the same way. You know, so you just never know. Everybody's got different stories. I can have a really powerful story, but maybe I'm talking to someone who's a yoga instructor and is a mother who has 3 kids, and she can't connect with me, right? But we do it together as a team, and they connect with somebody else's story. So that's why it's really important that you get present to your story, because someone out there needs it. I can promise you that. And then it's really important. I think this idea is so important, you know. When we go through this journey, being an entrepreneur is not easy, you know, and as you go through this journey, you're going to go through a lot of ups and downs for sure. And it's so important that you tell your story, because it reminds you what it is that you've gone through and what it is that you're committed to and what it is, you know, the vision that you have, because you will forget, you know, almost daily probably, because when problems come up, things come up, you know, you're just dealing with life, you'll lose the vision, and you'll forget all the things, all the amazing things that have happened in your USANA journey, because our problems become so close to us that we forget the sort of bigger, the larger perspective. And when you tell your story, it can literally bring you right back into, you know, all the amazing things that you have gone through, and even the challenges that you've gone through that you've overcome, right? It reminds you about all of those amazing things. So the stories that we tell, they're also for yourself, to remind you. You know, they always say, whenever you want to quit, remember why you first started, because there's magic in that. Right? So what is your story? Okay? You want to go tell your story to as many people as you can. You know, not because you want to listen to yourself or anything like that, right? You want to tell your story because it's going to make a difference for other people, and it's how you get what you want in your life as well. Right? If you create a story about the way life was, and then how you got introduced to USANA, and then the way it is now, right? The community that you're a part of, the mentoring that you're getting, everything, you know, the personal development that you're doing, the growth that you're experiencing, and then you end with, you know, what you're most excited about in the future, and the future that you're living into. The more you tell that future that you're living into, the more people that you tell, you know, I'm growing. I'm excited about this. You know, the time is now. Our team is growing. I'm excited. I'm in action every day. You know, the more you tell the story about where you're going, the more that where you're going will come to you. This is how you take that future as a visualization and you pull it into existence, is by telling the story. You know, Napoleon Hill wrote a whole book called Think and Grow Rich. And in that book, he talks about this process. Anything that the mind can conceive, it can achieve. That's what he means. It starts here in your mind, in a vision, and then it becomes, and then it starts to begin to take form in your language and your communication. So the more that you tell that story, right? That's the law of attraction. The more you bring it about. So your stories are going to help you build your own belief. They're going to help you revision your future and what it is that you're up to. Okay. You're probably going to have to do that a lot, right? As you go through these phases and stages of your business, you're going to have to revision what it is that you want, and where you're going, right? You can craft a new story, right? You're never stuck with the story that you have. That's what's so amazing about being a human being, is we're not a fixed thing. You don't have some identity that tells the full story about who you are. It doesn't matter where you've come from or what you've dealt with. What matters is where you're going. Right? So anytime you revision and you tell that story, you can create a new reality for yourself. And this is really the dream building that we encourage people to do. You know, at least once a year, maybe twice a year. You know, make a new dream board. Figure out, okay, what's next? What do I want 1 year from now, 6 months from now? What's my rank? What's my income level? What's my lifestyle like? You know, who are the people that I'm hanging out with? This is the dream building that you can make a reality. That's what Rich Tan, I remember when Rich Tan's a diamond director from the Philippines. I remember when we first started in USANA, he introduced himself. That's how he introduced himself. Hey, I'm Rich. You know, hey, he would say, hey, millionaire, I'm Rich, right? And I remember he was just young, 20-something-year-old guy. But that was his mission always was dream big. You're going to dream. We all dream anyway. So why dream something small? Because you're going to bring that into reality, right? Dream big, swing out. Don't believe in your limitations. Allow yourself to dream like you did when you were a kid. You know, you ask a kid what they want to be. You know, they don't think small. They don't think about what they can settle for. Right? Somehow in our experience, as life goes on, we begin to dream less and less and less, or we bring our dream down to our present, what we think is our present reality, in a way that we feel like it's you know, sufficiently small enough that we can achieve that. So this is what we end with, is, you know, just exactly that idea. You know, your story becomes your reality. Whatever story that you're telling yourself, if you have a story about your limitations, that will become your reality. If you have a story about, you know, whatever story that you have about who you are, or about who your mentor is, or about what country that you're in, or whatever, you know, how tall you are, you know, whatever, your story will become your reality. Always remember that. So pay attention to, bring awareness to, and be careful about the stories that you're telling yourself, because they will become your reality. I can promise you that wherever you are in your life right now is some version of a story that you've been telling yourself for the last 10 years. So if you're not where you want to be at the moment, look at the stories that you tell yourself and recreate them so that you can live into a new future, because that is the beauty. You have the power to create. And the stories are really the seed that you plant that becomes the tree that is your life. So the spark the fire within you, right? The passion and the enthusiasm and the spark, it starts here from you, and then you project that to others. If you're flat about your life right now, if you're flat about your business, if you're on a plateau, I can promise you 100% guaranteed is because you're not excited about it. If you were out there every day and you were talking to people and you were excited about what you're doing, they would be excited as well. People want to follow people who are passionate and excited about what they're up to. If you're like, hey, you know, I have this thing, it might be something you're probably not interested, but maybe, you know, it might be something you're interested in. Like really flat like that, nobody's going to follow you. Okay, you got that passion and that fire. Napoleon Hill calls it a burning desire, right? When you have that burning desire inside of you, people will be like a moth to a flame. They will be attracted to that because that's what they want in their life. What the world needs is more people who have come alive, because people who have come alive, they create life in other people, right? So spark the flame within and then stoke the flame of others. It means, you can, stoking the fire means, like when you get like a piece of paper and you really you make the flames bigger by getting it oxygen, right? When you're fired up, you can breathe fire and life into others. So this is Brene Brown. This is a woman who had probably one of the biggest, I don't want to say biggest impact, but probably one of the biggest impacts in my own life, right? When I was dealing with alcoholism and my life was not the way that I wanted it to be. And I was really dealing with a story in my own mind about who I was and about my limitations and what was possible for me. She wrote a book called The Power of Vulnerability. And Brene Brown is a master storyteller, really. I learned about the power of shame from her. And she's really one of she wrote another book called Daring Greatly. And she's a storyteller. That's what she says. And she says, I am convinced that owning our story and loving ourselves through the process is the bravest thing that we'll ever do. So whatever story that you have about yourself at the moment, or whatever story that you have about why you can't be successful, it's okay, right? You want to embrace whatever that story is so that you can rewrite it and bring and loving yourself through the process. I've been down that journey before in a story that did not work for me. And thank God I've, had mentors and someone like Brene Brown who told me the power of stories so that I could make up a new story and live into that future. So I'll just end with this, right? Because a lot of people have a story about it being difficult to build their business online, right? Oh, it was easier in person, or it's easier that way, or it's easier some other way. And I really want to encourage people to look at this time in history through a different lens and create a different story. Because I really believe that right now we do have a capacity to create connection through technology in a way that we've never been able to do before. And it's up to us to be able to embrace that. Right now, you can grow your business all over the world if you embrace this technology of storytelling and you embrace the technology in general. Right? You can do Facebook Lives, you can do Instagram Lives, you can do all of these things, which are all part of storytelling. And technology can be an extremely powerful vehicle to create connection. Now, are there some downsides to technology in terms of loss of connection? Yeah, for sure. And that's something obviously that we all have to deal with. But that's not a story that you want to tell yourself, right? You want to embrace you want to embrace what's possible through the technology that we have, through the Zooms that we can have, through these different trainings that we have. Right? You can literally jump on a WhatsApp call with somebody that you've never met before and create an immediate connection and tell your story, find out what's their story. The more that I've gone through this USANA journey, the more that I see the value. And as soon as you meet somebody, if there's a little bit of connection, they say they're interested, jump on a call right away. And just say, listen, you're not trying to sell them anything. You're not trying to sell them products or enroll them in the business. Like, the intention is to find out, what is this person's story? What are they dealing with? Make that human connection, because that's really where the power of this business lies, making connections with other human beings. And the way that you connect with other human beings is you find out their story, because in their story is who they are. And when you can get really powerfully connected to who somebody is, then you can also share who you are. And some of the most powerful, some of the closest connections that I have in my life right now are people that I share this business with, even if we're worlds apart. You know, I think about Fiscal as like a little brother of mine, even though we're on different parts of the world. So this is how technology can actually bring us together and move us towards a bigger vision. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. We can take some question and answers or sharing sessions now. And I'd love to hear from some of you guys about the stories that have made a difference for you since you've been a USANA associate as well. So who would like to share? I think you need to, can you put your things on?
Hello, is it
Yeah.
okay?
Awesome.
All right. So, well, I think everybody, I'm new in this, uh, this group and Usana thing. So, I think the first time Riaski contact me by LinkedIn, I was wondering what is this, because I put looking for opportunity. I lost my job anyway because I work in sales representative in travel agent. But make me well before that I also agents for insurance. So actually I've been doing kind of like that but in insurance business. The problem that I found in insurance, it is long commitment. So when you meet a people, especially in Indonesia, when you speak about insurance, I think 50% people are understand, but 15% are not really understand about what is insurance. So the problem I found it in insurance industry, which is, sometimes you tell them that okay, you take this insurance for 10 years and they will cover you until 90 years old. But it's not that simple. Actually, you can pay your insurance commitment for 10 years, but they said you just pay for 10 years, but actually not because if you not pay after 10 years and they will take from your investment to pay your insurance monthly, but if your investment are finished and you not top up again, so you will call the insurance gonna be collapse. And people start to angry with me because I said to them like, okay, you have to pay insurance only for 10 years and they will cover for 19 years. So there's something of not really honest to tell them about this thing. What
Mm.
I want to say, maybe people who are more understand and aware about insurance, they already understand that if you willing to pay and cover your insurance, it's mean you have to pay all the time, at least until maybe I don't know 70 or something, I don't know. But this product, when Riaski tell me about the product, first it's just because I am aware with the vitamins. Second, I see the product. Third, you consume by yourself, so you know the function in your body. The fourth point, you get the benefit. Like last time I meet Mia and I invite 4 people but 2 people coming. And when we start just chit chat very normally, like chit chat normal with coffee and tea. And after 30 minutes, I think when we speak about this, one of my friends saying, okay, I'm interested to buy the fishnet for the eyes. So I get directly the customer who would like to buy it with Mbak Mia explanation.
Mm.
You understand?
Yep.
So for me, like, oh wow, it's really interesting because I get directly the commission because when you're a member you pay 440 something and then you sell 559, so I can earn 93,000 rupiah without any capital yet. So I think, oh wow, I think it's good, I can do it because I'm sales marketing. And in my previous job I'm almost um, you know, 5 ranking to all the sales marketing. So I think, okay, I can do it. I can do it this because especially today people, really uh, aware about the health and things. So I think I'm quite positive with this kind of thing, Plus, because you guys, you talked to me, Nathan, last time from USA, and another one, Alessandro from Italia, and now, I'm more confident. You coaching us, we are team, we help each other. So I think, oh, okay, this is really good, and this is what I want because the insurance one is not really. I'm not really into it because I feel I have to lie a little bit, to get the customer. I
Yeah.
don't want that. And then this one, I don't have to lie
Yes.
because I can consume. I can say, look at me. I consume by myself. This is the product I consume by myself, and I can feel the reaction. If you want to try it, you try. If you don't want to buy, be a member, and I will teach you how to earn money now. Because at the moment in Bali, if you lose your job, you need to you open a small, you need a capital to open small business. You need a capital minimum, I don't know, $500, maybe something like that, to open the capital. But with this one, if I don't have money, I can just, literally explain the story and then, sell retail for the moment until I can have my own, well, so I don't need to pay by my own money first. There's 2 3 way I think Mia explained to me how I can start with this user now. So then that's why I think I'm really excited. And thanks if you can catch, if you can give us like that, some trick and some something that make us more confident about this. Then I think, yeah, we
Awesome.
will we will be like you.
Great. Amazing.
Yes,
Well, thank you for
that's
sharing and welcome to our USANA family.
thank you to accept me. But I like to hear from others who the one already stay in Usana, like another member. I like to hear the story too, how they
Great.
feeling.
So, Deep, you want to share?
Hi everyone.
Hi.
So what am I supposed to be sharing? Just like why I joined Isana, or
You can just you can just share about your USANA story, what it was like before, what happened, what it's like now, what you're excited about.
okay? Just one second.
Yanni, I just muted you because there's a little bit of background
Oh,
noise.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so my story is I actually joined Isana a while back in 2013, and I wanted to try the products mostly because of Regina's result. And if you don't know Regina's story, Regina was dealing with pre-cervix cervical cancer, step 3, and at the same time she was pregnant. So they didn't do the treatment in New Zealand. They just asked her to wait till after the pregnancy, the baby was born. But like long story short, 15 weeks into her pregnancy, the baby stopped growing. And doctor tried, like, the doctors were like, just try alternative methods. And one of her friends introduced her to Usana. She started taking the products, and within 4 weeks, when she went back for the scan, baby's growth was back to normal. And baby's like organs were forming properly. And once Alexandra was born, she was like super healthy. And 1 month after Alexandra being born, Regina went back for her checkup and she was clear. And she's continuously for 5 6 years, she got her biopsy done and she's been clear. So now she's just clear, which is like amazing. I really got thinking about like how come the nutrition is actually giving her healthy, like her, like how is her child growing properly just with nutrition. Like doctors weren't able to help her, nothing could help her, but how is it connected with nutrition? Like, because from India, nobody takes supplements. People take supplements, but like fish oil, or when you're feeling like sick, people start taking B complex capsules, but nobody takes it like regularly every single day. So that really interested me, like why is the nutrition giving her better health? Because everybody connects nutrition to like energy or feeling better when you're sick, or if you're exercising then you need something like that. So I just got super interested in that, and I wanted to try the products for myself, and that's how I got introduced to USANA. And the business side, actually Nathan introduced me and Simmer to the business. I wasn't very interested. I actually started crying after I heard I would have to do USANA business. I was like, Simmer, we can't do this, because I was working as a teacher full time in New Zealand and I was very busy. But that wasn't even the question. The point was, I will have to sell. Business means you have to sell, you have to talk to people. And I was like, that is not happening. And I was like, so I was like, no, not doing it. But Simmer had already gone to the presentation. She saw it, she liked it. And she's like, I think this will be really great way for us to get connected, keep in touch, even after like she got married, I got married, or something like that happened. And I was like, okay. But initially I did not wanted to do USANA at all. But once I joined, I actually saw the USANA presentation after I joined. So I went for the presentation, and it was amazing. It was amazing. It's such a genuine company. Everybody was really humble and authentic. And that's what really enrolled me into the business side of things, because I have been to other companies' presentations as well. But USANA is just so authentic, so real, and I just loved it. And I heard so many other stories. It's the stories that keep us in, right? So I heard so many other stories. I heard a story about this woman who had severe arthritis and couldn't, she was on wheelchair. She was 36 years old, on wheelchair, couldn't walk. Her hands couldn't like open up. And 3 months of taking USANA, she walked up the room and shared with everyone her experience and how she is feeling completely okay. And I was really amazed. I still remember that story.
Oui,
I
oui.
still remember, because that's the first time I heard it, and I was like, "Oh my God, this company is really creating amazing results." So I started taking products, and I had amazing result as well, just like what Nathan was sharing with my eyes. And but my family is taking, everyone that I know, everybody in my family is taking the products. So yeah, I stayed in because of the stories, to be honest. Every time I would go to the office, somebody would share their story about the business or the product, and I'll be like, I am hooked. I am hooked. I need to learn more. So yeah, even with the products, I started taking so many other products with USANA because of the stories. I started taking Cell Essentials initially, and then of course Biomega. But then I met this person, the one that Nathan was sharing about, Jordan Kemper. His skin was shining so much because of Biomega. And I was like, I need more Biomega. And me and Simon started taking like 4 Biomega a day, 4 to 6. And our skin started shining. We are like, we are so happy. So it's stories. Yeah, it's stories are very powerful. And thank you, Nathan, like where you ended the whole training. I just loved it so much, about also creating your future stories, like having that vision about yourself, and that telling yourself that story that you want to create ahead, not just just what you're listening to, but also like what do you want to create with your life. So yeah, so that was really powerful.
Awesome.
So yep.
Thank you so much, Steve. That's great. Well, we're a little bit over time, but how about one more for Fiscal? Can you share a little bit about your journey through USANA so far and what it was like before and what happened and what it's like now?
Ah! Okay, Coach Nathan, I'm not ready to tell right now, but
Okay.
yeah, but yeah, everyone, my name is Fiscal, and thank you, Nathan. I'm so grateful and happy to join this training tonight.
Okay.
Thank, thank you for sharing your story and I was present in your story.
Good.
What I learned tonight, more focused about the intentional respect and be present to tell the story because I miss, to be honest, I miss that part. We all have a story, I think, to tell.
Mm-hmm.
We all have a story, but how you inspiring people by your story, I think I must have that feeling. So respect, presence, and I believe if I have that, what I share to people, what I tell to people, can inspiring people too.
Yeah. Yeah, and for you, Fiscal, really, you should carry a picture around of your face when you first started in USANA and really share with people because your story is really powerful, not just about your skin, but your skin was really kind of a mirror of, you know, how you felt about yourself at that time, really shy, really nervous, really, like that. But you had such an amazing energy even from the very beginning, and you've worked on yourself so hard over the last year. And now I see, a young man who is confident and powerful, and you're taking on leadership. Obviously, you've had a huge transformation in your skin, in your health. But I think, there's so many people out there that would just love to feel more confident about themselves, and they'd love to have that kind of relationship with themselves. So I really invite you, Fiscal, don't diminish your story. Who you are and your story since you've started USANA is so powerful. So you want to be out there telling people about that story because it's very empowering.
I will.
Okay, great. Anybody else? We do need to wrap it up here, but anybody else want to share something to end us? Simmer, can you just say what the one thing about what you shared with me? Oh, go ahead, Rini. Go ahead, Rini.
Yeah. You heard my story before about the hormonal thing, about the everything, but one thing that I get instantly why I decided to join is because I have the instant connect with Simar. I don't know why, but I keep remember you said to me that I have to make my story. And then I remember, what did I decide to? So it's very different from everybody else. Okay. So I have this instant connection with Simara. I think like we are two souls that meant to be together. It's like so weird. I think it like that. But I think Simar would agree with me. And then I am very grateful. I met you, I met Nathan, I met Deep. You guys have made me realize that I have this thing in my heart that I need to follow. Like slap me in the face and then, hey, you wake up. You have this thing. And then yeah, besides the product is very good. Don't have to ask. So yeah, I think I will complete my story and then I'll tell you about everything. But the connection that I have with Simar is I have never experienced that before. Maybe it's the more law of attraction that works to her. I don't know. I think
Yeah, I
something like
felt that
that.
too. I definitely felt that as well. And I like from the first time that I talked to you, I just for some reason feel so safe, share, really authentically sharing my experiences with you. And it's been incredible working with you, to be honest. And yeah, I definitely felt that connection too. I was like, the first time I talked to you, I'm like, we are supposed to be, we are supposed to be working together. There's gonna be a friendship here. So definitely.
And I think really, I want to acknowledge you for your openness. From the very beginning, you shared some things that I think maybe you weren't sure, should I share this or should I not share this? But you've always just shared, and it makes such a difference when we just put aside worrying about how it's going to look or whatever, and you just share, and it made such a powerful connection, because I feel like, that's how we get to know who you are, is just sharing about those things. So I acknowledge you for always being open and being on these calls and always sharing, and, and that it really makes a big difference. Okay, so I just realized I do have another call now, but this has been really amazing. So I honor all of you for coming on and sharing and being a part of this. And we'll have the training same time next week. And for those of you who are in Indonesia, remember at 9 a.m. every morning, we have the morning inspiration call, where our whole team gets together on the call and they share some sort of product knowledge, mindset knowledge, inspiration, things like that. So I encourage you to attend 9 a.m. every day. And I promise you, you will learn something that will change your day every day. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Love you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And we will see you very soon.
Thank you. Thanks, Nathan.
Yeah, it's 10 a.m.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Good to see you all.
Bye.